Hello, this is Elizabeth Clare Brewington with Elton Brewington, and we are here on the Discover Brightside video podcast. And I'm here with Trina, Dr. Trina. So tell us about what you do, and this is a very important topic, so pay attention. So tell us all about it.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's a delight to be here with you. I am a Canadian sexologist. I've been doing this for 25 years. I am a best-selling, award-winning author, and I help women in long-term relationships thrive after the honeymoon stage is over. So, when we get into like the real relationship, how do we keep that spark between us going?
That's very important.
It
Yes.
is. It is.
So talk to me about it because we're doing all things women this month, and then of course June we'll do men. But talk to me about what goes on with women. Why do we change?
Well, so the thing is, I don't think women change. So there's a big, big myth that women in long-term relationships lose interest with sex. And I think just the opposite is true, that our long-term relationship sex gets boring and women become uninterested. And if it's not dealt with, women start becoming apathetic. So, the other myth is we believe that the sex that we learn to have in our 20s is going to sustain us through our 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and beyond. And just as our life evolves, our sexuality needs to evolve with our lives. So sex, we believe that sex is a static, it's constant, it's always going to be the same, it's never going to change. But because of that, too many women get really bored of this framework and she wants something different. And like the number one problem I see in my 25 years of doing this is the average woman in the average relationship cannot say to her partner, I need something different. Can we do something different, please? And because of that, they stay stuck in this rut. And, once you get yourself in a rut, it's very difficult to get yourself out.
So what's the solution? What do you offer, and how can women come to you and tell us about your book and your services?
So I wrote an award-winning book. I always have to drop that into the conversation. When you win an award, you should be
Yes.
dropping it into the conversation. So I wrote this award-winning workbook called You Me Bed Now, and it is a five-step framework to help women move herself. So if she's in that place of being stuck, how do you get unstuck and move to a place where you're an enthusiastic partner again? And I'm from the middle part of Canada, which simply means that I'm a very practical person. Like there's no woo-woo stuff in my books. It's all very step by step and practical. And if you're a very, very, very busy person, you can still go through this workbook and make this transition. But what I found was, there is a segment of women who enjoy reading nonfiction self-help books. But there's an even bigger portion of women who don't want to read self-help books. And I'm one of them. I don't like reading nonfiction books. I much prefer to read a fiction. So I thought, it was COVID, and I thought, what can I do? And so I started writing this no, fiction book that's about four very different women who take this sex course and their experience of taking that course. And in this fiction, I really hope to show women, that, no matter where you are, if you're single or married or divorced or somewhere in between, it doesn't matter where you are. If like you can go through this framework. And I hope when, in writing that fiction book, it's called The Sex Course, um, women could see themselves in at least one character and see, you know what, I actually can do something about my situation. And so the book that I just came out with, it's called I'll show it to you. It's called The Taboo Show.
Mhm.
And this is the same for women. And they go into the taboo show. I'm kind of on the nose with my titles, like not
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
not too original with my titles, but they go into the taboo show. And what I'm trying to show women in this book is all the different ways that, there's, we learn one way to have sex, but
Yes.
there are many, 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 many ways that we can do this. And so I'm showing them with this book you know what's available to them, and their the character's experience of going through it. So it's meant to inspire, it's meant to educate, it's meant to titillate, but most of all, my books are meant to start a conversation with women so that she can start having a conversation with her partner you know
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So true. Very true. I love it. And I think one of the things is women don't talk enough about sex. And so I think we're being very courageous and bold to talk about it on the show,
for
uh,
sure, absolutely.
because, we want people to live the best life they could live. And that's what we like to say. We want to empower you with information, so that you can do something about it. Don't be frustrated and if I could have, should have, do it,
Well, I'll just give you a little
Yes.
anecdote. So I've been at over 25 years. I've done over 1,000 interviews on all different kinds of media, radio, TV, everything. And consistently, when I can speak about anything sex negative. So, you're having difficulties in your marriage, or you have some kind of sexual trauma, or you have some kind of sexual dysfunction. I'm absolutely abs given I can absolutely talk about anything about sex negative. And the moment I start talking about women's sexual pleasure, I get censored
Why?
because that's how it is. So how that comes out to the majority of men and women
Mm.
is they only hear sex negative, sex negative, sex negative. Very we if you go and look, I mean, this is my job, so this is what I do, but like, if you go and look, you will not see too many empowering, sex positive, helping women embrace her sexual pleasure, embrace her sexiness. It's becoming more on Instagram, where but the thing about Instagram and Facebook is it's a constant battle of being shut down. So like the past month and a half, I've been shut down 4 times on Facebook. And if you go onto my Facebook account, it's really like, I make sure to keep my Facebook super clean. It's very vanilla. There's nothing salacious on my Facebook account, but I've been shut down because I'm talking about female sexual pleasure. And I bet you, if I started, if I put up sexual dysfunction or, sexual trauma, Facebook would let it pass because that's how it is. So
Yeah.
women and men are getting very skewed messages about, what women want and their pleasure, and you can only work with the information that you're given.
Yeah, it's also a topic that's so private as well.
Yeah.
Facebook has groups that would be a good place to, be more private and intimate with people because it's a topic that, as you put it rightly, a taboo. It's something that people don't talk about openly, and especially not women. I mean, women just shy away from it. And yet, we are the genesis of attraction. We've been made for, the way we've been made as women. We are the person. So it shouldn't, we should talk about it and embrace it. So I'm so glad you're doing what you do. And I am so delighted to have you on our show. Get her book, everyone, and
Get my
write a
book.
review.
Get my book
And
and write a
yes,
review. You're right.
and
And
write
write,
a
yeah.
so that's what we're here for. So thank you so much for being on our show, and I will get Elton on in a minute. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.